So we're going to cover 250 fixes in testing for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yes, that's a lot of fixes. As you can see on screen, there's some couple of interesting ones I wanted to highlight and talk about it as we go through this, because it could be a big update, big changes for the state of the game, making it much more interesting overall, and we'll highlight what to expect next within TCM. So this should be quite interesting. So let's jump into it and highlight it. So the first part is the grandpa cutscene missing scene is going to be gone. So that's no longer a thing anymore. So when grandpa wakes up, that shit ain't going to happen. And simply is going to be replaced by a banner notification. We mentioned that in the video. So that's good to see that that is now coming to the game. The next aspect is grandpa perks. Grandpa perks unequipping match to match is a fix in testing. We'll also mention this. This is a big issue. It's so annoying. Because even though it's not a dupe perk, they just have to reset. They always reset after the match. And I don't get it. Why it resets. So that's cool that we can now have that ongoing, so we don't have to always second guess if our perk is on or off. The next fix is local fuse box perk in town. Accurately affects the fuse box as well as the generator. Nice, so that's been fixed. Good to see one perk being fixed out of the so-called like 20 or 30 perks that are completely busted and they actually don't work at all. But that's one perk there. Family exploit valve. This I heard about. So essentially what ends up happening currently right now, you can do it, is when you highly rev your chainsaw and go to a pressure valve and you press the pressure valve mechanic at the same time, you can instantly close a valve location with that as low phase. So that's why it's kind of busted, and I understand why that is being fixed. Needed to be addressed. Good to see that's been fixed. And it's not something you can really get in contact with until a later point. You know? You just don't know about it until later. From there we have the Johnny trail goes cold. Fix and testing for a bug that made the footprints disappear for Johnny almost instantly. Yes, this is annoying. So what would end up happening is when you go towards a trail or footstep location, activate it by searching for that clue, whatever it may be, that mechanic, and then right after it, as you expect to see a foot trail lead to the next location where the opponents are, there's no foot trail, it's already gone. So it's like, I just wasted my time. Yep, that's what you did. And now that is being addressed as well. The 7 victims agree, and ready for the match time drops to 30 seconds. So instead of being a 5-minute match time or what it is right now when you have to wait, if 5 victims ready up, it drops to 30 seconds. I think you could just instantly change this to a 30-second or 1-minute lobby. It finds 7 people, 1 minute, and the match will start. But this still works as well. So it just drops the matches, drops the time spent in matches a lot faster, you know? Makes it faster to get into action and play the game more than waiting for the game to start. So it's cool to see. Trail of blood. This is interesting. The blood trails left behind the victims will now match the console version on PC as well. So I saw the difference between these two states. Essentially on PC, we have a blood drip. You see a little blood drop here and there, if you're lucky. On Xbox and PlayStation, you see blood pools everywhere. So if someone gets hit by a chainsaw or hit by anything, there's blood all over the place and showcasing where the enemy is. Pretty much giving constant vision on the whereabouts of victims. And in some situations, when we're playing on PC, we think those players are stream sniping or cheating, or it may be because they know where we are exactly. And it's because the blood left behind on console version is much stronger than on PC, which I don't know if that was intended initially, or is a so-called bug, whatever it may be. It happened, and now the game will get dramatically easier on PC to match the rest of the versions on console as well. And we have a security pin lockdown perk being reworked. The security pin only affects Cook's locks now, not affecting all locks in the game, since they've made a difference between both mechanics of lock doors in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Cool to see. Kind of busted overall, to be honest. That's why screw pin was always a must on the character. Building up pressure, turn off the valve will now repressurize the tank. Really cool. So if you stop the point of the actual event happening, the tank will go back to its zero state. You know, it starts to lose the pressure on the tank, which is really cool. Because sometimes when they've opened up the gate straight away and it holds that pressure for a while and it drops, that makes sense in my opinion, because that's how it works. But when it's building out the pressure and then you're intervening, it doesn't reset ever. So through 2 encounters that you go against the family or the victims always had a guaranteed access to that escape no matter what. It was always going to proc, even though they got away and came back to it multiple times. It was bound to happen. And it was very easy to do so because it kept building up pressure. Now that won't happen. Slaughterhouse renovations, which this would be interesting. A tricky valve tank will be now relocated upstairs for better visibility. I suggested that this valve tank should be close to the garage area and the pen area, the holding pen. I suggested it should be right there in that area. We'll see if that becomes true, if I'm actually correct on this, but that would be the best location for both victims and family to pressure. So I think that will be the case. We'll find out if this is truly what it is. But this would mean that Slaughterhouse Valve exit is not going to be the easiest exit in the game. Because they did a fix last time. They said they're going to make it harder. It made it actually easier. But this time, this will be actually harder depending on the location of this placement. I said it could be there or in front of holding pen on the left side where fuse box used to be. One of the spawns fuse box, the old one. Around that area where the holding pen area is, the left side of it. Where there's a little gap between the shed and the corner of the map. Around that, I think will be around there. Like in front of that area. However that makes sense. That could be a good place for it. Or right next to the middle of the map where the new Valve spawn for the handle was. So it might be right next to it. Never know. That could be the possibility there for this. So those are some of my guesses that I had prior and now, which I think will come true. Smokehouse closed for business. So this is the gas station door being completely abused and too easy to access for victims that it kind of makes the game feel boring to play. Completely frank, when this door's open, it's like game over already. Because it's so easily accessed, and if you just go one rotation without looking at this door, you've lost the game on gas station. So this is being fixed, is cool to see. Another great fix, same thing with the Slaughterhouse issue, that a renovation was necessary. Cook ability tuning. Cool to see. Crouch walking will now hide you from the cook seek ability. Amazing, who would have thought that the one mechanic that we all thought about, crouch walking, would actually counter it, but it didn't counter it the whole time. Cool to see that it's actually working. And the duration of outlines due to detection have been fixed. Cool. So that has also been changed. I don't think this changes the constant, like, scan after scan when you're running. That still happens no matter what. So they will still get XP from that, but also be annoying as hell when you hear that laughter on the victim side of stuff. Tied off. This perk here, this perk only became known because what we did on the channel. And finding out the new tech, the exploit, the broken stuff about the game, go through each perk that we did. And this perk, we found out that through a certain way of using a med, but not fully using it, and then cancelling it into it again, would activate this effect. Or being able to not bleed out to any effects in the game. And it was true. And it looks like the developers have seen that video, or have seen it in action by us in some point, and have immediately changed that. So I thank you for the devs for watching the content. I'm glad to see that. But this has been changed. Cool to see. There seems to be another crouch toggle function, so that could be good for some players that don't want to hold crouch all the time. Crouch toggle is always pretty good. No cell versus chainsaw. No cell will now more accurately affect overhead chainsaw attacks from low face. I'm guessing what this does is, essentially if you hit a target with an overhead attack while having no cell, they can still run off. Because no cell would usually, what would occur, you hit them with overhead attack, then followed by two other attacks that are line attacks with the chainsaw, with low face, towards the opponent, and then no cell charges at level 3 or all gone. This case here, I'm guessing if they get hit by overhead, they can just run off. They get like a little bit of a sprint burst, leave the map, we'll go to the next location. You know what I mean? And some all other changes that are happening too. They haven't told us exactly what they are, but I'm expecting a big patch notes when this all comes out, or they come out at certain instances. This is somewhat like a roadmap in testing, but not giving the exact amount of fixes being fixed. So you get the bit of the things that they most likely will fix next time, followed by the other 250, and obviously there is around 15 around here, maybe 18. I don't know, some weird number. It's like 16. I think it's 16. I don't know, there's like 16 changes here at the 250, so expect more, and that will come out within another patch of some sort. And there's some other investigations happening, grappling, tuning. I did talk about this being a bit annoying, but we'll see if that ends up being what I think it is, which is changing the iframes on the very end to provide iframes to the victims to run out, because I feel like it kind of feels cheesy, but I understand if you want people to make it hardcore as possible, they can have that. Perk rebalancing, cool to see, because it creates new metas. Fun as hell. Partner disbanding issues, alright. And then issues with these other things here. And issue with perks and abilities. Perks more than anything. Abilities, that's just more rebalancing. If things are too strong or too weak. But perks, some of them don't work. So I'm hoping they actually go through that and fix it completely. But that is the big update to expect. What's expected next within Texas Chainsaw Massacre, something to look forward to say the least. Is it going to be crazy? Is it going to bring all the players back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre to play it again? Most likely not. But for new players that do pick up this game, they're going to enjoy it because it's going to be a much more smooth experience without having so much of the bugginess behind the game. So that's good to see. But tell me your opinions and thoughts in the chat and in the comment section down below. I'd love to know. And if you mates are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, follow us on Twitch, join the Discord, code Lordy game subs for 10% off, and also BTLmerch.com. Show support, greatly appreciated.